You're listening to the WB Download, coming to you from Wieland Builders showroom in Studio 1C. We are a podcast centered around building custom homes, the customer experience of building a custom home, and a really entertaining listen from many great guests and interviews that may or may not have anything to do with building. I'm excited to share with you their voice and their stories that will enhance your idea of the custom builder world. All right. Hello again, everybody. This is Jeff Wieland with Wieland Builders, coming to you from Wieland Builders headquarters here in Studio 1C. Thanks for joining us here on this Tuesday, August 22nd. We're getting to the end of the year, man. Summer's almost over, and we talk about the weather. We talk about summer and talk about seasons on here all the time, and I keep forgetting that summer's going to go a little bit longer here, clear into the fall. I call summer, I usually consider summer whatever warm weather is, and that's what I'm going to keep on going with, and the time change. I wish that time change I wish it would stay light until about 10 o'clock at night, no matter how cold it is. But hey, it's Tuesday, August 22nd, and we got some things going on for what's going on here at Wieland Builders. We're going to sign our contract for Home Rama this week with a wonderful family. This will be the third job that we've done with them, and the first Home Rama house that we've done with these people. So it's going to be kind of fun. And I mentioned this because we talked about it here before. Our contract signing is a milestone, and it's something we should celebrate. And so many times when we're talking about our contracts, it becomes a form that we just sign because we've been doing so many things for so long. And we forget to celebrate this time because this is a big deal. It's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for the customers, and we're pretty excited about it. So, other than that, we got a lot of things going on. We still got some houses coming up out of the ground. We've got a few that we're getting ready to finish up, and like always, I keep saying that, we got some in the ground and some we're finishing up. That's the way our life goes here. So we're pretty excited about getting those ones finished up. When you come to the end of these houses, it's such an intricate task, and there's so many things going on that we need to just put a fine tooth comb on it and get through it. So as far as what we got going on our football, this is week 2 of football. I coached 6th grade football in Lebanon, and we lost week 1 8-0 to Huber Heights, which was still a good game, but we were still content with that turnout, even though we didn't win. And then on Saturday night this weekend, we played Jamestown in Xenia, and we won in overtime 16-8. So we were pretty excited about that. It was a fun moment. Got a long way to go here with the kids, but it was pretty cool to see them out there on the field and seeing everything playing under the lights, Friday night lights. So this weekend is our first varsity home game and at Lebanon, and it's also the youth night there in Lebanon. So we are going to be taking all the young kids out on the field. We run around the track and they introduce us and kind of highlight for the kids. That's their goal. I tell them all the time that if you're playing youth sports and especially youth football right now, that Friday night lights is your goal in life, man, and to get to play under the lights and have everybody there cheering you on is pretty cool. So we got a hot week ahead of us, very hot week. And I mentioned this because I pay a lot of attention to it. We can't practice football when it ggets to be above 95 degrees and the heat index gets to be stupid. So I heard a comedian the other day talking about the heat index, and he's like, what if we had an index for everything? Like, you didn't get your work done. So, well, I got the heat index. I couldn't finish my work. That'd be pretty cool. I'm also, I think I mentioned this last time, I'm planning my 30-year class reunion for Ross High School. I put a committee of people together. We've got like 8 people in 4 or 5 different states just talking about this thing. It's pretty cool that how we put a lot of things out there to try and get a hold of everybody. We've got about, right now, we're down to about 25 people who aren't on Facebook who we're getting contacts with. I'm walking through our 3rd Friday that we have in town in Lebanon this past Friday. Ran into a girl I went to high school with, and she says, hey, I know such and such. I'm friends with her brother. You got to reach out to him and get her contact information. And so it's pretty cool to see all these different people working on this to try and make sure that we get a great turnout and get everybody put back together here after 30 years of being out of school. So, I'm pretty excited about it. I've been to every one of them. I've always enjoyed catching up with all my friends and people that we went to school with. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have it in November over at Spooky Nook in Hamilton, and looking forward to it. So, hey, without further ado, that's what's happening in the world of Wieland Builders and in my life right now. Not very exciting, but it's certainly coming to the end of the summer, and we've been grateful for all the things we've got to do this year. So I want to introduce our next guest, and he is none other than one of our fantastic homeowners. And now this is the first time we've ever had a homeowner on this show. And so I'm pretty excited about that. As I always am pretty excited about something, but I'm pretty excited about this guy. So his name is Mark Evans. Him and his wife, Susy, built a house with us. And we started about a year and a half ago. And we just finished it up a month or so ago. And we're going to sit down and talk to him today. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Mark Evans coming into the room. Mark, how you doing?
Great, Jeff. Good morning. Very nice intro. I appreciate all that.
Man.
And, I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
I'm glad you're here. I got to say that you and your wife are two of the nicest people I think I've ever met. And I'm hoping that, you have to build a house. Everybody I talk to says, we are never going to build another house again. This is our last house we're ever going to live in. I hope that you guys build a house next year.
Well, the experience is great and we love our house. If I ever decide to build another one, I'm calling you, but right now I have no plans to do another one.
That's good. So, there you go. You got Leanne. She's all excited because now we got our referral and we're done. So, I wanted to tell you, I'm a little disappointed. I would assume that when we did this, it would be in the afternoon, and we would probably be sitting around drinking some cocktails while we're talking about this.
I was thinking the same thing too, but schedules are schedules. I know you're busy. I just heard your schedule, so
I really want to make sure that you come back and we do another interview later on, maybe, and we just catch up and talk about it. So when we do that, maybe we'll do it then.
That sounds great.
We'll toss back a few and talk about some things. So, the way we met is that, and I want to see, maybe you'll tell me a different story, but your brother-in-law and sister-in-law, John and Karen, we built their house in 2017, 18, I think it was. And that's kind of how we met you. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So my wife has a twin brother, John. It's hard to separate these twins. They built a house in Mainville. House was beautiful. We weren't quite to the point where we were ready to build. We were boaters. We were doing that for a while. Finally decided to get out of boating, build our dream house. And so we ended up buying the lot right next door to John and Karen. And we said, we're going with Wieland. We just love the quality of the house. They were so thrilled with the process, the work. Your brother, I think, was their project manager.
Yep.
Mike did a great job. And I couldn't have asked for a better scenario, better referral. So that's how we ended up with
awesome.
you all. Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I need to be careful because if I say that you two are the nicest people we ever built for, then
John and Karen
get upset.
Too.
They're going to get upset because they were very nice too. We've got a lot. We've been very fortunate to have a lot of great customers that I feel like comfortable on here. But when I get an opportunity to work with people like you and your wife and John and Karen, it makes I tell people it makes me want to keep doing it because this business is a lot of ups and downs. You get kicked in the teeth a lot of times and I'm just like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore, but you guys really make us want to come back and do it.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think it's like that in any business. You really want to do a good job and have your customers be happy and satisfied. And you guys do a great job at it. I realize every business, there's challenges and you're going to have rough spots, but we value that. We value the quality, the experience, and we just try to treat people the way we like to be treated.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up at?
Yeah, so I was originally born in Dayton, and then we moved to Cincinnati when I was pretty young. Grew up on the west side of Cincinnati, Delhi.
Nice.
Pretty.
Now it comes together. Now I know why you're good people. You're good people.
That's right. My parents are both. We're not native from Cincinnati. My dad's from Kentucky. My mom's from West Virginia, and it's a success story. My dad, grew up his dad was a coal miner. My mom's dad, it's kind of a tragic story, was, in school in UK in chemical engineering, decided it was his duty to enlist in the military. Went into officer training, got sent over to France, and his company got hit by a hand grenade.
Oh, wow.
While my grandmother was pregnant with my mom.
Oh, man.
And so, they both came from very difficult circumstances, met, and we ended up, moving to Cincinnati, and they raised two kids. My sister and I are both lawyers. And to come from that to to get my sister and I to where we're at now, where I'm in a position to buy a Wieland home.
That's amazing.
It's great. Two generations to be able to come that far along. So
that's amazing. Everybody's got a story. And if you take enough time to sit down and listen to it and really listen to it, I'm just always in awe of people, because you think you know somebody. I'm like, you and I just spent 2 years together.
Right.
And I didn't know that about you. And that's a really, I mean, it's a horrible story, but it's a tragic story, but it's a really good story to see how you've come and how you've gotten here.
You could have gone one of two ways.
Yeah.
It went the right path. And, we're fortunate. Our parents were both very motivated, hardworking, valued education, and pushed my sister and I into, getting not only college educations, higher educations. And it's just hard work and perseverance.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, man. So where'd you go to high school at?
So I went to Oak Hills High School.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So large graduating class. I think we had around 800 people in our graduating class. And I'm just thinking through trying to organize our class reunions, with that many people.
Yeah.
I do appreciate what you're doing with that. It's a challenge.
Ours is like 172.
Okay, gotcha. It's kind of sad to say, but you might have a better turnout than we had at our last one.
We're working on it. We're working on it. We've got a good group working on it, but it's tough. I mean, I think
is hard.
It's really tough to get everybody there because I'll tell you this, what I've realized in people's lives is high school was brutal, and people are still 30 years later scarred from it. And they're like, no, I don't want to, I hate you.
I think that there is some people that see it that way. There's others that feel like they maybe peaked. I mean, I kind of feel like I hit middle ground.
Yeah.
I still have friends that I still talk to from high school and interact with, and so I've got positive feelings for high school.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It's nice to get back and see everyone. But I think you're right. There's a lot of people that probably I'm done with that. I'm going to forget it.
I loved catching up with people and was friends with so many different people. But so where did you go to college at?
Yeah, so I went to Ohio State.
Yeah,
nice. I kind of had a bit of a meandering path. I started out, I thought I wanted to be an architect.
Yeah.
And, when they sit you out on the oval with a pad of paper and you start trying to draw a tree, and I look at my tree, and then I look at the trees everyone around me are drawing, like, I'm in the wrong department. So I said, which way's the engineering school? And so I switched over to structural engineering.
Okay.
And I got it's civil engineering with specialized in structural. So I got my civil engineering degree at Ohio State. It took me a little bit longer. Everyone likes to throw around the Tommy Boy joke that, a lot of people go to college for 7 years. They're called doctors. But I got through. Yeah. But, and then I started out as a structural engineer for a company that did basically bulk material handling facilities, grain terminals, cement terminals. So I just designed a lot of really heavy structural components. No architects involved. I got to lay the buildings out. They just told me where the equipment had to be, and I had to support it. And it was neat. I got to go out in the field. I've been on some slip forms when they built silos, out in the middle of Wyoming, one in South Dakota, which is a whole nother story. I won't dive into all that stuff, but I got to do a lot of really big, heavy structural work.
Yeah.
And, so then I did that for about 5 years.
How'd you become a lawyer?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. So I'm in Columbus. After undergrad, I got a job in Columbus with a structural engineering firm. I always kind of knew I wanted to get a bachelor's degree. Looked at an MBA, a law degree, and a master's of engineering. The law, and again, this was no grand plan. I knew I wanted to get an advanced degree, and the law really intrigued me. It seemed to have a lot of opportunities. And I enrolled while I was working as a full-time structural engineer. I enrolled at Capital in Columbus because they had a night program. They have a day program too. It's a smaller private college in Columbus. And so for 4 years, I went to law school at night while I was working as an engineer during the day.
Man,
it was tough. I mean, it was 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 to 9. And for class, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you're just studying, reading, doing all that. So it really makes you appreciate, your law degree after you put that effort through. And, after the first semester, I'm thinking, man, do I really want to kind of subject myself to this? And then I got the bill from Kappa. I'm like, well, I'm finishing this thing now. I've already spent that much money. I joke about that, but the thought crossed my mind for 1 second. But I wasn't able. So, yeah,
man, that's unbelievable. You're full of good stories, man. That's tough. That's a lot of hard work.
Well, in my last year of law school, I'm like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this law degree. So I went into the placement office, and they were like, Mike Holman was just here. Mike ended up being one of my mentors. He started the construction law department at my firm, which we can chat about in a little bit. But Mike was a naval aviator, very disciplined guy, went to the Naval Academy. He was there looking for guys or anybody that had a engineering background that was getting ready to graduate law school. So I went over and interviewed with him. and got hired right away in my last year of law school. So I left engineering, went to work for my firm as we called it basically a clerk, but I was ended up developing a fellowship program after that, where I worked full time at the firm. I wasn't a lawyer. I was basically a paralegal, and I went to school at night. And so, fast forward to now, I'm now the chair of the construction department for my firm. So Mike Holman, I've kind of followed in his footsteps. And there's one other person, Jack Rosati, who's a great friend of mine as well. He was in between Mike and I. So it's kind of come full circle in that sense. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Great. I wish I was smart.
I do too. I just got a good work ethic, I think.
I got a 2-year degree from Ohio State at the ag school up there, but all of it was around working. It was never around being smart. And so I graduate and I'm like, I just have to continue to work hard because I'll never get there. I'll never be able to remember all that stuff.
I mean, half the battle is just working hard, Jeff. Yeah. I mean, there were 2 people at Bricker that got jobs. That's my firm out of a Capital Law School the year I graduate. It was the valedictorian of our class and me. I was right around the middle of the class. So hard work and having a good background does pay off for something.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I agree. I always think hard work is always going to prevail. So sure. That's why you love Ohio State so much, right?
That's exactly why I love Ohio State.
You're a real Ohio State fan.
I am a real Ohio State fan. Maybe a little bit too much. Yeah, but when you're designing rooms around your house based on Ohio State football, you might be.
I see people who are passionate about college teams that they've never stepped foot on the campus, and they're like, "That's my team."
That's right.
Like, really? Okay.
Yeah, I've invested in this team a little bit.
How long have you and Susy been married?
So we just had our 10-year anniversary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We were, we've known each other for like 12 years now. Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
And we've been married for 10. Just back in July, celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Good. How'd you guys meet?
It's a funny story. I had recently gotten divorced and she was divorced. And I was literally just on a Friday night going to cut my grass. I had a John Deere tractor, had a half-acre lot. It held 3 beers, and I'm like, get my headphones on. I had a couple beers. I'm like, I'm just going to drive around and cut the grass. I got a good buddy. Actually, Jeff and I went to junior high together.
Yeah.
And he lives in Westchester. I lived in Westchester at the time. He called me and said, hey, man, you need to get out. Let's go do something. I'm like, I'm not driving on. I've already had a couple beers. I got a nice little Friday on the tractor with the iPad or headphones. And he goes, I'll just come and get you. And he just wanted to go do something. Thought I needed to get out. We went to Jags, restaurant over here in Westchester. Walked in. I had to go straight to the restroom. He walks in. They got this center bar.
Yeah.
And didn't know Susy. Saw Susy sitting there. Wow, she's attractive. I'll sit one seat over. And I just come lumbering out, sit down. And lo and behold, we just ended up talking. And, 12 years later, we're engaged.
So did you block him? Was he going for Susy?
Married. He was married, so he was just being a wingman. And I still owe that guy to this day. That's right. And it's not that I really never even went to Jags that often, and neither did Susy. She works for a children's hospital, had been down at the Reds game with her board, Starshine Hospice, and got a check given to them. They, the Reds made a donation to their charity, and the whole group said, why don't we just stop by Jags just for, one drink and then we'll go home. So she got there first and was waiting for her friends.
Huh.
So, I mean, you talk about just 2 random paths that just happened across. I mean, it was just, I get sappy of serendipity.
There's a lot of serendipity in your stories. I mean, that's amazing. The things that have crossed your path and you've capitalized on them when the time was right, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what made you want to become a lawyer? I mean, when you talk about this, like you just wanted another degree, but
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did want to go back to school, but I didn't really kind of have a plan what I was going to do with the law degree. And it just sort of happened. And honestly, God, I wouldn't change it because right now, I don't think I mentioned, I do construction law.
Yeah. And
in my firm, Bricker Graydon, we have probably one of the biggest owner-oriented construction law practices in the state. It's been really nice to kind of mesh the engineering side with the law side. And, I can walk into a meeting and I have some street cred. I've had mud on my boots, and I can talk the language. And I think it gives our clients, the owners, really some comfort that, I do have some expertise in this area, not only from the legal side, but also from the construction side. So for me, the most fulfilling thing is being able just to combine those 2 backgrounds together into one.
I think that when people think about lawyers, they think about trouble, because you have to have a lawyer to get yourself out of trouble or to fight somebody else or something like that. And so many people forget that you are part of our you're not part of Wieland Builders team. I mean, you were because we built a house, but
right.
but an attorney is part of your team because our attorney is a real estate attorney.
Yeah.
They're not litigators. They're not people who are going to go and sue people and do things. They're just a plethora of information, and that's what we need them for, and calling them and talking to them. And I think that's something that at the National Association of Home Builders, I'm always surprised at how many builders are lawyers.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And they have a whole committee of like lawyers that they're not practicing law. And there's even a couple here in Cincinnati that guys are lawyers. You need to be either a lawyer or a psychologist to be a builder. You know what I mean? And if you got all three, you're gonna be hitting a home run because it's tough. But so was school, and I also think about, when I think about lawyers, I think about you have to know the law. I mean, you have to know every law. And so was school really difficult to learn all that stuff, or do you have a good memory for it?
So law school really trains you to take a test.
Yeah.
It gives you some foundation principles, what is a contract, offer acceptance, stuff like that. So you study these topics, you go regurgitate it in 2.5 days during the bar exam. Hopefully you pass. And then when you get out and get a job, that's when you really start learning the law in your area. I mean, some lawyers have a very broad area. They practice in a lot of different areas, but they don't go deep. Other folks like myself have a very narrow silo practice, but we go way deep into that one topic. And so there is a lot of learning, on the job kind of learning. There's a lot of statutory requirements for, because I do a lot of public work for procurement, for contracts. We've got a lot of federal money in the system right now. We've got to comply with federal law. So it does take time to learn that stuff. And then a lot of it really is more like strategy and developing even though they're not statutorily required, legal, you take cases, you develop contracts based off those cases to try to maximize the law. So there's a lot of different things like that. Just over time, it takes a while to get.
I was going to say, is precedence something that you have to look at?
Yeah,
more?
It is. We really look for, there's, every couple of years, there might be a couple big cases that go through the higher Supreme Court. And when we see those, we really track them. And then, if there's something that we can utilize in our contracts, we'll work it into them. And we really try to keep our clients out of court. It's, litigation's expensive. The only one that wins are the lawyers. Yeah. Especially construction cases. I mean, they're just covered, littered with paper. I mean, there's so much paper, a lot of discovery, a lot of depositions, unlike a car accident. When you get a lawyer involved in that, that's something that happened at one moment in time. The events maybe span 3 minutes, start to finish. Where a construction project, as you know, Jeff, 12, 14, 16 months. Yeah. Try to unravel all that and get to the heart of a delay claim. It's expensive. It's complicated. It's time consuming. And usually what happens in my cases, particularly, if they get into litigation, they'll almost always resolve themselves short of going to trial. Sure. Just because the parties just say, enough. It's too expensive. So, it's interesting. And I try to get it on the front end. Get the contract right, get the right, provisions in there, and then utilize them. Counsel the owner through the project. All right, you've got these tools in this toolbox. We need to use them now and try to get things to the point where they get resolved before it turns into a bigger issue. Yeah. That's the whole goal. Man. But it doesn't always work out that way. We don't always draft the contracts. We have some owners that just do their own thing. They call you when things are at 11, and you come in and try to resolve them. So it's just, there's different scenarios. And back to your point about lawyers, I mean, I think no one wants to hire a lawyer, but generally at the front end, if you do the planning, you got a much better chance for success. You need a lawyer. You definitely need a lawyer. I always think about Donald Trump and when he had his lawyers and the things that he does with all of his businesses. And when you're in the public eye like that, you just get drilled down and people pick you apart all the time, talk about bankruptcies and things that they did. And people have no idea that those are tools that they're using for businesses. And especially all those lawyers that with as much as what he's got going on and people are talking about is just for sure yapping all the time about lawyers. And so do you have to do continuing education, or do you just learn the law as it goes? You're doing case studies. Yeah. So we're required. We have to do 24 hours of continuing ed every 2 years. Okay. And then I think 2.5 hours are like ethics and, there's a substance abuse component to that and something else. So we have to do every 2 years. But we can also get CLE credit for doing speaking at different events that are accredited for continuing.
So you can get credit for this right here, right now.
Well, if we would get this accredited, yes, maybe so. But, a lot of the marketing that I do are more public speaking events.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of public owners. We can't take them to baseball games and stuff like that. So we do training.
Right.
And we get them accredited. So a lot of my CLEs are from presenting.
Okay.
And you have to learn the law, learn the components in order to be able to present it anyway. So, but yes, we do have to do continuing ed constantly.
How tough is it to deal with the politicians that make regulation, that make laws, and you're the one that has to? You're not enforcing the law as specifically, but you're getting people to abide by the law. You're reviewing the law all the time.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to see these people? Because I feel like they do the same thing with us. There's a lot of people that make the regulation for builders, and then we have to follow it, and we're fighting against it most of the time because we're against regulation, but too much regulation, I guess I should say. How do you keep up with that, and does that bother you at all, or that somebody else is making decisions for the things that you have to do?
Yeah, it does. It does impact us. We have a group in our firm that basically does lobbying work and stuff. So we generally represent public entities, and so we do advocate more for stuff that'll benefit public entities in general. One big thing that happened in the last probably 5-10 years is that the statute of limitations for breach of a written contract 10 years ago was 15 years. It's down to 6. And there's a lot of, contractor groups that are really pushing, and it probably actually helps you. But in your situation, Jeff, you typically have a limit on your warranties, right? 1 year, 2 year, whatever the case may be. Contracts I do, we leave them open-ended. It's a very broad warranty. It just says, look, you warrant that it's going to be built in accordance with the plan, specs, blah, blah, blah. And we don't limit it by time. So the only thing that would limit it is the statute of limitations for breach of a written contract.
Which was 15 years.
It was 15. It's down to 6 now.
Okay.
So those are laws that we see happening that, really does impact our owners. I had a school district. They had this carpet that was put in wrong. It's been a few years ago. And it'd been in for about 14 years. We were able to bring a claim against the contractor. They ended up using the wrong glue, and I could go do a deep dive on carpet glue if you wanted me to. I'm not going to do it here, but at any rate, we ended up successfully bringing a claim. Now, this client would have taken, it was $60,000 to replace the carpet. They would have taken 30 and been done with it.
Yeah,
called it a day. And while the contractor dug in, their surety dug in, we ended up recovering about $300,000 in legal fees and everything else. But that's a situation where if they tried to bring that claim now, they'd be out of their warranty.
Yeah.
And so I see things like that. And I would, they do affect my clients. We do have to counsel them. But I get that there's competing interests, right? For a contractor to have a liability like that on the books for 15 years, that's rough.
It's crazy.
It is.
It's crazy.
So, I don't know. It was 8 years for a while. That probably would have been a nice middle ground, but we'll deal with it.
We were always under the operating as it's 10 years on a structural violation and 15 on a contract violation, and almost everything is a contract violation because the way you word everything. So, that's a lot of weight to carry. And at 14 and a half years, somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, I got this problem." And you're
carpet's bubbling.
Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
So all right. So let's get down to we built your house.
Correct.
And so I want to find out all kinds of information from you and see what we can come up with. So why did you want to build a custom home?
So not just a home in general, you mean just a custom home?
I guess what does a custom home mean to you? You didn't just go out and want to buy or build a production home. You wanted to build a custom home, right?
Right. And I will say this too. I've never built a house before. The house we moved from, Sue built that house through a custom builder.
Okay.
So this was a brand new experience for me. I knew kind of what custom building was. For me, we're at the point in our lives that we're hopefully building our forever home, and that's going to be it. And so we wanted the ability to really not only pick what we wanted, get it laid out the way we wanted it. It was really important to me to have a building, a house that I was comfortable with. Quality products. I know it's going to last. I don't want to have to be worrying about, leaks or things breaking. So for me, it was quality and also getting exactly what we wanted. And bottom line.
Yeah.
So
that's good. That's good. That's a good. So why did you come to us to build a custom home? I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but
right.
there had to be more than just, I mean, unless it really was John, because if it was John, I owe him big time. But I mean,
you owe John big time. No, Jeff, I mean, like we do our research too. We John and Karen were a huge part of it. Just, talking to them about their experience with your organization, seeing their house. I mean, this is going to sound a little nerdy. I look at stuff like the way pipes are run, duct work, and I walk down to John's basement, and it is almost to me like artwork, seeing how tight and neat everything was installed, and you can just see that somebody really cared about what they were doing. They wanted to do a good job. Yeah. And, that's one thing that's important to me. We also looked at your website. The houses you guys built are beautiful, and we looked around. We ultimately, we only talked to one builder. You guys were the only ones. We came in, I said, let's meet them. And I mean, obviously if we didn't get along, we may have gone somewhere else, but we got along great with you and your team. And, just like, we're going this route.
Yeah. So, I felt like we hit it off right away.
Totally.
Yeah. In our first couple meetings, which is always good for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes that gets to be pretty heartbreaking for me, because I'll meet some people and I'm like, man, we really hit it off. These are our customers, because you don't want I don't want to build everybody's house, because there's a lot of different kind of people out there. You know what I mean? And so when you finally meet people like you guys, and I'm like, oh, thank God, this is like, this is good. This is good. It's going to be a great experience. Yeah. But sometimes I get there and then we don't end up building their house. And I'm like, I'm down in the dumps, man. I got to take the rest of the day off. I'm going to just go drink and I'm going to hit the bar or something. It's but I'm really glad that we did that. So in your old house, the house you previously lived in, what was the reason for getting rid of that? What was the reason? Was there some obstacles there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of personal, and the house didn't really fit our lifestyle. I mean, it was a great house. I liked the house. It was over in Mason. Obviously Sue had, raised her kids there, was previously married. And I think we sort of wanted something that was both of ours. And the bigger thing, though, I think was really more, the house was more of a layout that didn't fit our lifestyle. It was a big 2-story house. First floor had a formal living room, formal dining room, which we never used. Yeah. I say never, maybe a handful of times. We never really went in the basement that much. It was a basement that wasn't like an open staircase, right? It was like, you went through a door, you went down there. It was nice. We liked it. Just never really used it. The upstairs, we had 4 bedrooms, only used 1. So I would say we were utilizing maybe 30% of the house. The outside was okay. The deck probably needed to be updated, so we weren't really using that, but it really was just, the house wasn't laid out to fit our needs, and we're not getting any younger. It's a 2-story. We definitely wanted to get a ranch. We're trying to plan ahead and be smart and have a house that we can stay in for the long term. And so we certainly want to get a first floor master, which we didn't have at the old house either. Too. Yeah. So, and like the house was 20 years old. Not that, it would have been a big deal, but we were going to have to start putting some money into it. And so we were sort of at the point where, do we start fresh and get what we want and start putting money into that, or stay here and, keep updating?
Sure.
That's the big thing.
Was there a point that in the beginning when we were talking to you guys and we were having conversations that just pushed you forward, that said, yes, this is what we're going to do and move forward? Was there anything particular that struck that?
Yeah, her name is Susy.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I joke about that, but she really was the driving force here. I mean, I tolerate things. I mean, I would have just stayed there forever, I mean, I was comfortable enough. And don't get me wrong, I am thrilled in the house we're in now, but it's just like, she really was motivated. And, you guys worked with her. I mean, I'm not going to take any special credit here. She really was the force behind this whole thing from a lot of different ways. So, yeah. I
talked to a lot of people, and there's a lot of dudes like that are just like, hey, if it was up to me, we'd be staying exactly where we're at, and I think that it probably, like yourself, once you get into the new house, you're like, man, this is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
There's so many things that happen, and the experience is one thing, but then actually living in it and getting to see everything come together and just being in a new house is just amazing.
It's great. I've never experienced before. You're absolutely right, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many things that can happen, the things that may not be aware of in your existing home that when you get in a new house, you're like, man, I had no idea this existed. I bought a truck one time with a heated steering wheel in it because I was always like, that's for sissies. I don't need a heated steering wheel. And I had it for like 10 minutes and I'm like, everybody should have one of these. Why doesn't every car have one of these? This is amazing.
I'm having that feeling every day. I'm still finding stuff I like about the house.
So you guys, and I think you answered this a little bit, but you guys were unbelievably prepared with your vision and with how you wanted things to go. When you met with our designers and our architects and everything, I'm sure you're going to attribute that to Susy, but
it is, yeah. But I
both of you guys, you're a team.
Well, it is. I mean, we're both planners, right? We don't really typically do things just shotgun. Like, all right, let's go do this. And so we really spent a time. When I say we, 80% of it was her. And, every night she'd be on our computer looking, honestly, God, a lot of it was looking at your website. It's a great resource the way you guys have that all laid out. She looked at other stuff, Pinterest or whatever the other sites are, and just started developing this vision for what we were looking for, what we wanted out of the house, what styles we like. And she started assembling it in the notebook. And I in hindsight, I'm seeing that actually was probably the best decision she could have made. I mean, really having a vision or at least a thought of what you think your vision is, and it gets refined and fine-tuned. I think that just really helped expedite the process.
Yeah,
for sure. And I don't know, you probably see it both ways. I can't imagine just walking in here, meet with you, Robin, the designer, the architect, and just say, hey, we need a house.
Yeah.
But what should we do? That's a big palette. I think it probably helps everybody you guys, us, to really kind of have an idea of what you want.
Yeah.
So I think for starting the process, I didn't really know it then. I know it now. Like, that is a critical component of it.
Oh yeah. So we get a lot of people that come in and they know they want to build, they want a custom house, they don't want to buy some existing, they don't want to do certain things, and maybe they don't have any direction, and then we're giving them the direction to get their direction. We're saying, here, go to our website, just look at things, and it's funny. I always tell a story about I'll tell people, hey, bring me some pictures of things that you like, or if you're at a friend's house, whatever, and they could come in and I say, well, you like a house with chimneys on it, and they're like, well, why would you say that? I'm like, well, the last 5 pictures you showed me all had chimneys on it. Like, I had no idea. Yeah. So there's a lot to be said for that, what you're talking about. But I would agree that Susy was ultra prepared and getting that stuff. I tell people that all the time too, is that when you get into this process, it starts to consume you. So when you are at a friend's house, you're at a party, next thing you know, you're going in the bathroom, and you're not just going to the bathroom, you're looking around, checking things out.
Exactly,
I like this, I like this. You start taking pictures, you start talking to everybody, and you start getting more and more information, and it's really, it's so amazing.
True. It's so true.
Yeah. And some of that information, it could be good information, it could be bad information. You really have to decipher it, and I think that's where we all came down together.
You're absolutely right, Jeff. The one big design change that we made off of our plan, was the outdoor bathroom. Yeah, because we put in a pool. Yeah, and the reason we thought to do that was talking to John and Karen. Yeah, they built a house, they put a pool in. The kids, they got a lot of grandkids. They go in, they're wet. They go to the bathroom. They're going in and out of the house. So I think you all actually did the work.
Yeah, we did.
They had that 3rd car garage where they put in a half bath out there.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Which worked out great. And John and Karen, you have to do that if you're going to have a pool.
Yeah.
And it's worked out great. But there are things like that when you start asking and saying, what would you do different? What did you like? And you really start gathering that. You're constantly consumed with those types of things.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And we do that a lot, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. It's a bathroom. What you're talking about is putting a bathroom on the back of the house that has no other access to the house whatsoever.
That's right.
It's just a door that goes out to the back, and there's a bathroom back there. It's kind of cool. What was your favorite part, if you had one? What was your favorite part of the process?
So for me, it was more the construction phase. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I did not realize how many selections that you have to make. And I'll be honest with you, Jeff, I just didn't have the patience to sit there. And to Susy's credit, she sat there with Robin for hours at the lighting store, the tile store. I went to the tile store and I was ready to lose my mind after about an hour. I mean, I just didn't have the patience for it. I don't think I had the eye for it. And so it was really Susy ran that stuff. So once it got into construction, that's where I really got excited. And just to see this thing come out of the ground was just amazing. Yeah, that was the best part.
I think construction is kind of fun because it makes you feel like a kid again. When for me anyway, when I was a kid, I was always around construction, and I always had guys I looked up to, and I still do. I'm friends with a guy named Mike O'Rourke, who owns a big demolition company.
West Side guy, isn't he?
They're good. They're good people.
Didn't his daughter take over the company now or something? Or
Mike is the one that runs the company. Him and his wife Michelle.
Okay,
and his dad's the one who started the company.
Gotcha.
And but every time I can see one of their pieces of equipment going down the road because it's bigger than our equipment, it's different than our equipment. And then me and my son Cody are always like, "Oh, look at that! You know, I mean that and cows. When we're driving down the road, I just get completely distracted and cause a 12-car pileup. So, but I think it makes you feel like for me, it's intricate, it's cool, it's fun to be out there, but it just brings a different personality to me, you know, especially coming out of this office and going out to there. But I'm with you. I like the construction part of it.
Yep.
What was your least favorite part?
You know, and it really was more just trying to time getting out of our old house and getting into the new one. So we ended up selling our house about 3 months before our house was ready. You know, and we were fortunate. Our daughter lives close by, and we looked into maybe, you know, renting temporarily. There were some options, but my daughter and son-in-law, I just helped them finish their basement. It's a beautiful basement. They invited us to come over and, you know, stay with them with the grandkids, which is great. We did that for a while, and then we ended up, John and Karen, you know, they had us come over there as well. So we stayed with them for a while, but just for 3 months, not being able to find anything, not knowing where any of your stuff's at, except for the 3 bins that you brought with you, was tough. But I will say this, living with, you know, John and Karen for a couple months, the last 2 months was unbelievably critical because we were able to be there on site every day, see what's going on. If we were staying with Tyler and Emily, it would have been another 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get back and forth. And we may not have gotten over there every day. But I think when you start getting into those later stages, it's absolutely critical to be on site. So even though it was tough, kind of, you know, not having our own place for a while, but being able to be there on site and watch it really kind of balanced that out.
I forgot you were there and I knew that, but I forgot that you were right there. You lived on site and you're the second customer in the last 2 years. I built a house for some really good friends of mine who lived on site. They lived in a cottage that we attached the new house to. And most people were like, oh my gosh, that's a nightmare. It's not horrible for us. I think it's probably more tougher on you guys because you're living in a construction site, you know, but it's, that's cool. I forgot that you guys were there and doing that.
It helped a lot.
It helped us. I know that because you and I and Susy and I, we had a lot of conversations during that time about different things that were happening.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's critical.
Yeah. What advice would you give someone who's thinking about building a custom home?
Yeah. I mean, first off, and I think we just touched on it, was obviously be organized on the front end. You know, really just get your thoughts together, you know, figure out what you want and then help refine it. And the other is just really, being on site and, you know, watching the trades. And because, I mean, like you guys build a lot of houses. I mean, sometimes things, you know, may get located one place and it's, you're in a plan that says that and you get out there and you start looking at it and, you know, we may need to move it. So, you know, being reactive, available, really start looking at the plans and making sure that, you know, that is indeed what you want.
Yeah.
And all your trades are great, Jeff. I mean, they were so accommodating of, you know, if we said, we want it here in the plans, but we get out there and like, that's not really what we think we want.
Yeah.
They were just fine, you know, more than happy to move it and do that sort of thing. So
that's custom building, if you ask me. I mean, I think that's what it's supposed to. You talk about all the selections and talk about all the things you do and being flexible for us to be able to go out and change things, you know, and I think that's what custom building means to me anyway. You know, we're here to do what you want us to do.
For sure.
So definitely.
The other thing too, a perfect example. I don't know if you remember this day. We were out there looking at the hardwood. You know, the stains. Yeah. And while we were sitting there talking, you looked over and you said to Sue, like, are you guys getting window treatments on this door? And she goes, yeah. He goes, we're moving that light switch over. Yeah. And I'm like, you know, Jeff, you know, that's a lot of work. They don't need to. And he goes, no, trust me. Yeah. And you know what? Electrician came out. Boom, moved it over. No big deal, and it's great where it's at. I mean, just little things like that that I would have never even thought of.
That's also the day that I realized that we installed all the wrong crown molding in the house, too.
Well,
we tore it all out.
You know, that you're right. You were on the phone, like, what's Jeff doing? And then you made it happen. I mean, we didn't even know. And that's kind of a critical thing as well.
I was pissed off, man. You know, I couldn't believe it. And nobody...
I didn't even know what we ordered.
I know.
So, and that's another point is that, you know, I think it really helped to start thinking, all right, maybe let's look at the selections and making sure the selections are matching matching up to what's going in. So, I think that's a critical thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about the hardwood process too, because we end up going a completely different direction than I think Susy might have had like a red in mind or something like that. And we ended up doing like a grayer kind of color.
Gray.
And it turned out awesome.
It looks great. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give me as a builder, since you've been through this process? Yeah. What advice would you give me?
You know what I think would helped, at least early on, is just getting to know the whole team.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like maybe you just have, your whole team together and say, here's this person, that's what they do, here's their number, and just getting to meet people, on the front end and just sort of know what to expect.
Yeah.
The stuff that you all started doing like later on through the process with the updates.
Yeah.
That was great. I mean, we were getting updates, but, having a formalized process, you knew what to expect, and that was really, really helpful as well.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about is
more communication. I think obviously is great.
Yeah, we switched, and we do a Friday update, and it was usually a phone call or a text message or something very informal, and we switched to Google Docs, and we have a Google form that we fill out every week, it also shows the phases of construction, the things that have been done the previous week, things that are going to be looking forward to the next week. And just having questions for you, just opening up that line of communication. I think that's the biggest problem is communication is one thing, but opening up the line of communication and giving people a forum, that's really important. So that
without a doubt. And the other great thing you all do is that there's a place that if we have questions, we put them in there, send it back, and then you all respond to it, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Too,
so would you think that it was meeting just my team that's here in the company, or do you think meeting all the trades as well?
Not certainly. I was thinking more of the folks in your office, your team, but some of the trades are great too.
Yeah.
We one thing we did do is that we went out there and met the folks that were actually out there building the house. Yeah. And we try to take care of them. And it's not that we were looking for anything special. We just genuinely appreciated their hard work. And, we would, they have to take water out there, Gatorades, buy pizzas, chicken. End of the day, maybe have a styrofoam cooler full of beer, and just... we just really valued their hard work and their skill. And, so we did meet them. I mean, probably would be that bad of an idea, maybe some of the major trades to get to know those guys. Because we still interact with the HVAC guy, the plumber, the electrician. Yeah. So those are people that if we need something going forward, we'll call them. Yeah. Those kind of trades probably wouldn't be a bad idea either. But I was thinking more just obviously your team. So.
There's so many people. I think that there's like 152 different people that we deal with on a daily basis, and to build these things. And that's not even really mentioning all the truck drivers and operators and the people that have different things that going on a job site. And I forget all the time how much interaction you guys as a homeowner will have with them throughout the process. I mean, and I'm like, well, this is our carpenter. You don't have any reason to talk to him, but you do, because they're taking a lot of pride in their work. They're building, they're framing your house. You want to get out there and chat with them. And it was really awesome what you guys did throughout the whole process. Every time I pull up on a job, somebody was like, it made them happier. They're like, look at this, they bought us pizza. And then they turn around and go, you never bought us pizza. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't like you as much as they do. It was really cool. What you guys did.
We were very happy to do it, and just very appreciative of the whole process.
So a unique feature that in your house and something you focused on was your garage. And I like that, because I think the garage gets set aside sometimes, and I think, man, this is a very important part of the house. I mean, the dimension wise, just different features in there. But and not just you're not a car guy spending a lot of time in your garage. You're an entertainment guy. Tell me about this.
Yeah. So. Well, first of all, what we have is obviously 2 big screen TVs, built-in, speakers. It's wired into our Sonos sound system, and we've got a big garage. It's an L shape. I would think if you actually put a car on casters, you could fit 4 cars in there. Yeah. And I don't know what you call that layout besides just an L shape.
It's a carriage garage. It's a 3-car garage. It's got 2 cars on the left and then a 3rd-car carriage garage. It's all connected
on the inside. Yeah. And so honestly, that garage layout was one of the things that drew me to this house plan. But, we use that for, some outdoor entertaining. And the way it started is that my old neighbor and I literally one Ohio State Michigan game just started grilling out in the driveway and, pre-gaming and watching the Ohio State game. And it just snowballed into basically what has become an annual party for the Ohio State Michigan game. And we ended up doing it in a garage. We got to the point at our old house, we'd set up these big canopies on the driveway, and it was a much smaller garage. And having everybody outside, it's football weather, sometimes it snows, sometimes it's 70.
Yeah.
You just deal with the elements. I got to the point where I was having a portalet delivered to my old house.
That's
It turned into a big party, a couple kegs. I had a DJ come one year. I think we're sort of scaling. I don't know, scale backstage now, but
I think you should upscale it. I think the neighbors would really like that. I think it would be great.
So. I'm a little different neighborhood now, Jeff. I want to navigate those waters a little bit. But I did want to replicate that, in the new house. And, we put the epoxy coated floors down, and it's beautiful. I haven't used it as much as I thought I would. Obviously, it's been summer. We've got a pool now. We've been using that a ton. Yeah. Although we did our fantasy football draft and watched the Bengals game there a couple Fridays ago.
There you go.
It was neat to finally get it started.
That's good.
But yeah, it's kind of somewhat of a unique feature. And I think once we get into football season, we'll probably be out there more. Yeah. It's just fun to sort of be outside. You see your neighbors, get the game on, they walk by, they stop in. And we really, at the old house, met a lot of our neighbors just from that.
Right.
We became known as the Ohio State house in the neighborhood too. And it's really been kind of a fun, unique, just sort of happened on it. There was no great plan there. It just sort of evolved into.
That's a good point. I mean, if you're in the backyard, you probably don't get as many opportunities to see your neighbors when you're hanging out and doing things like
basement,
that. And, there was I think it was City of Hamilton years ago, when you're a city, as you know, they can make whatever decision they want. They can tell you how much brick to put on the house and what color it can be and all these different things. And they were enforcing us to pull the garages back on the front elevation and make the front porches. Every house had to have a bigger front porch and a large front porch because they wanted to encourage more people to do front porch sitting and seeing your neighbors, making larger sidewalks out of the street so people would walk up and down the street and feel comfortable doing those kind of things. Yeah. Some kind of psychological stuff that was going on there. But I think you need to go talk to them and tell them about your garages. I should. That's not a bad idea. And we do the same thing at our house. We've got a pool in the backyard and a beautiful back porch. And when we have parties, we clean out the garage. And so people walk from front to back, and we put all the food in the garage and put everything in. Everybody's kind of coming in and out of the garage, and it's just it just makes it a nice.
I think I'm starting a design trend.
I think you are too.
My old neighbor in the old neighborhood, Jeff, real good buddy of mine. When we moved out, he basically did that to his garage. Yeah. So now he's still got the same opportunity. So,
nice. Patent the idea.
Exactly.
So was there anything that was unexpected that came up during the build that you struggled with or that we could have changed the process on?
I don't know about change the process, but there were the two big interesting things, I guess. One was, when we built, commodities were out of control.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you all are still structuring the contracts that way or not. But one thing I was worried about, this is something I do in my actual law practice, is sometimes we'll build in an allowance into the contract, which I, worked with you and your team to do that, just so we didn't know if these commodities were going to skyrocket. Right. I wanted to have some money built into the contract to account for that. I mean, as I recall, I think everything pretty much came in at or below. Exactly. Which was great, and so we'd end up not using that allowance. We were able to use that for some other stuff for the pool. So that was somewhat of an unusual thing. And then the other was just coordinating the pool and how that was going to turn out. The pool guy I hired. So I had to coordinate obviously with you and your team and with the pool guy. Schedules are always difficult. The lot wasn't, I wouldn't call horrible, but it had a slope to it, which was a challenge. And I didn't really know how the elevations of things were going to work out. And the two things that actually just sort of were not even really known were going to happen or thought out. When you came over and helped us lay out the elevations, we got that concrete, so we didn't have a bunch of steps, which is fantastic. And then that wall around the back. And that turned out to be such a nice design piece. I didn't even envision that. And that was just a very happy surprise to have that put in. And, I know you worked with Mike Handorf over at Sharon, and they just did an amazing job building that thing. And it all worked out great. But it was just kind of not a bad thing. I was always worried about how do I get all this coordinated and get it all done was always
Yeah.
sort of a stressor for me.
Yeah, I think one of the things you're talking about is we have an escalation clause in our contract, and it's due to the commodities rising after it's post COVID.
Yep.
Things were getting stupid. Things were happening in the lumber business where it was just, I mean, we had $100 plywood at some point. I've talked about that on here before, where it's normally 15 to 25 somewhere in there, and we had $100 plywood. It was, things were going up and down, and they were out of our control. And we said, hey man, we got to take this gamble with you. And it's a tough conversation to have because we were always a fixed price builder. And so now you have that escalation clause in there because everybody's got things that are out of their control on the supplier side of it. I say on the supplier side of it, I'm a little bit harder on that escalation clause because I feel like some guys, if they know you have it in there, then they're like, "Whoa, you got that escalation clause in there?
Right,
Just go back and charge a customer." I'm like, "You're too stupid to work here. You can't do that." So that's probably one of the things. And I hate it too. I didn't. But the other thing, I love that idea of the contingency money being in there, but the banks don't like it.
Oh, they hate it.
Yeah, they hate it,
sure.
and that gets to be a struggle with them.
Yeah, and I mean, we worked with our banker on that, and you know, Kevin was great, and let's do it.
You're talking about Kevin O'Connell with Union Savings Bank, and he does just a fabulous job.
Yeah. And honestly, it wasn't that surprising to me that you all were doing that, just because I deal with that. I was dealing with it day in and day out in my personal job, so I get it.
Yeah,
I see it and I understand it. I'm like, all right, let's just develop a strategy to work through it, and we did, and it worked out great. Yeah. So now I was able to basically use that money to pay for the concrete around the pool, so it worked out perfect.
And the pools are a pain in the ass. I mean, they always are.
I get it.
For me, they are. And it's who's running what, who's doing what. But, as an attorney, and my attorney always advised me, I never want to be the one responsible for putting the pool in because there's so much liability with the diving board. I mean, at one point in time, he's like, even if you do put a pool in there, don't put a diving board on it because people jump off of it, they hit their head on the bottom, and then they go back and they sue all the way back to the person who initiated the contract to put the diving board on there.
Yeah, you're in that chain of privity.
So I was like, anytime anybody wants to do anything with a swimming pool, I'm like, we will coordinate it. We'll do everything with you. I'll meet with the people. Yeah. You're the one responsible for setting the whole thing up with them.
And I get all that from a liability standpoint, but it is difficult from a homeowner standpoint to kind of have to manage that. Yeah. Which I feel like we were uniquely positioned to really kind of manage it, but I can see some folks who really struggle with that. Yeah. And I know that you're aware of it. And that is a challenge, I think, for the homeowner to manage that. Plus, I had to get a variance too. Which
that's right.
I had to go and go in front of our zoning board. And being a lawyer wasn't that big of a deal, but it's just, there were a few extra steps to make all that happen.
Yeah. So, I forgot that we had to get the variance to get back there. But that was wedging it in there too. I mean, that was, we put most of the time those pools are like that, but it turned out, you're right. When Mike Handor from Sharon Nursery put that wall back there, it was just amazing. It turned a whole lot.
I'm so ecstatic with the way the backyard turned out.
Would you agree that you need time, passion, and money to build a custom house?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Plenty of all three.
I tell everybody that this is what we need from you. We need three things. We need time, passion, and money, because we need a lot of time from you. If you think you're going to come and sign a contract and I'm going to go to work and we'll let you know when it's done. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. It's a partnership. And we don't want it to be, transactional. We want it to be very passionate with you. You dig down deep. You're thinking about the things you want to put in here, and it's all about you and your vision and all these, and I'm just a tool that's going to put it together for you. Right. So the passion has to be there, I think, in order to make this project awesome.
Without a doubt.
And then, of course, you need money.
Yeah. On the money side, too. I mean, even though we were pretty well thought out, on what we wanted, still change orders. Yeah. Stuff you don't think about. Yeah. And where you see things. Once you start seeing this thing come out of the ground, then the vision really becomes 3D, and you see stuff. So that's a good point. I mean, just being keeping in mind there are going to be adjustments. You're going to want to add stuff. It is going to happen, and from our standpoint, we wanted to build the house that we wanted, and we just went ahead and took that stuff on rather than waiting and doing it after the fact.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What's the most important thing that we could have done or did to earn your trust?
Jeff, I think it's, for me, I mean, on our house or prior to it, I mean, I for me, it was word of mouth ahead of time, and recommendations. But honestly, during the process, what you all did to earn our trust if I really needed something, I could ask anybody, but I always knew I could pick up the phone and call you. And when I did, you would take my call, you'd be there the next day. And that meant a ton to Sue and I to know that, you know what, Jeff really cares.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to make sure it's right, it's done properly. And, and so that to me, having the open line of communication with the head guy and having him really show, it wasn't just lip service. You really generally got out there and cared. And so that to me was just, unexpected.
That's
it
good.
was really, really amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. What's an important thing that we can do now to continue to keep your trust?
Going forward, I mean, it's so far, and actually Terry's going to be at our house today, working on punch lists, and just, you guys have been just so responsive to any issues. And not that we've had a lot of issues, it's just, there's a few things from a supply standpoint that didn't come in on time, and, and just, there's always touch up, nail pops and things like that. So, I mean, you all do what you say, stay in communication. We call you, we need something. There's never any hesitation.
Right.
Just even like perfect example, so my wife has her own office, which is part of the space that we use to make that outdoor bathroom. We had some interior space that was surrounded by 4 conditioned walls. So it technically didn't need a vent. But, once she got in there with the lights on and stuff, and if the door was closed, it got kind of warm. So your HVAC guy came out and said, I'll just put in a vent.
Yeah.
Just knocked it out. Didn't try. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
He was such a, pro about it, was timely. I think we called you on a Thursday. He was there Monday morning installing that thing. So
good.
Just stuff like that. It's just the amount of responsiveness that's custom building. You don't get that with a production building.
Right.
For sure.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, good. So you contacted us first in January of 2022. We signed your contract in July. And I think most of that delay was probably from the variance that we had to get. And we waited on.
We had to buy the property too.
I think that was the other thing. We delayed the purchase and on a couple things, and then and we closed in June of 22, almost a year later. So that's a year and a half that we worked on.
Closed in June of 23.
23. Sorry. Yeah. That would have been awesome if I could have signed a contract in July.
I was not ready to sell my house in June of 22.
So that's about a year and a half. And I think that's probably a decent timeline. I think it probably could have been quicker, whatever the case may be. But that's a long time. I mean, I think people need to understand that when I'm talking about time, it's not just the time out of your day and the time that it takes to do selections and the time to sign contracts and do things, but it's the time that it takes to build these houses and do these things. It's very important.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And it's not only on your end, Jeff, it's like the homeowner being ready too. In our case, we obviously want to get our house to get on the market, sell it, all that stuff. So there's other things, especially since we were not just going to pick up our stuff and move it to another house. We had a base a year with storage units and start moving stuff into that. So there's a lot of stuff that you don't think about, when you get to build a house. And that was the biggest challenge for me. It's just obviously the moving scenario. Yeah. But
I tell our guys that all the time when we're coming down to the final walkthrough, that you forget how much stress the homeowner's under at that point in time, because you have a loan that's closing. We've given them a closing date. You can't. The closing date, for some reason, guys think that a closing date is just merely a suggestion, which just pisses me off. And but you got to work to it, because there's loans that are closing. There's movers. You're setting up phone, cable, utilities. You're doing all kinds of things that really
furniture. You got delivery dates.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that are falling on you, and it puts a lot of pressure on you. And then they've got it. So there's some very elevated personalities walking around that job site towards the end. Because everybody's kind of on pins and needles. So
right.
It's stressful. But
there's a lot going on this last few weeks or month. I mean, I looked out, at our house when it was getting built the last few weeks. There was just a army of trades out there. And I've seen some other houses and around town going up, and I know they're getting towards the end. You just didn't see the amount of resources sent out there that like what you all did. And, so I know you're pushing hard, but it's a lot to manage. And I know you all are, have a lot going on your end too.
Yeah.
So, the way all that stuff just comes together is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Most of the time the house has been done for a minute, but we're just trying to make sure that it's finished. This is this and this. And there's always something missing and something that needs to be. worked on. So I really want to say thank you for coming in to do this. I mean, it's been awesome. I can't forget that we have some lightning round questions that you don't know about.
Okay.
that we got these from Susy before we cut you off here. But I mean, honestly, it's an honor to have you come in here and do this. I feel really just. I don't know the right word for it, but I'm privileged to have you here. And
same on my end. Obviously, it's to be your first homeowner has been kind of an honor as well. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, you could have gone on here and told everybody what a shitty job we did. And I'm really proud that you didn't do that. So, who's the best time? So you haven't seen these questions. Some of those other ones, some of them you did see them. So these are what we call lightning round, and I don't know why we call it lightning round because this takes as much time as the whole interview does anyway. So it's not quickly, but it's just questions that we have fun with. Who do you think the best all-time Ohio State football coach was?
Woody Hayes.
Nice. Okay.
Jim Tressel's a close second.
Yeah.
I love Jim Tressel.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Do you know Kerry Combs?
I don't know him.
Do you like him?
I do like him.
Good.
Yeah. He's a good guy. He's at Ohio State coaching for a while.
Everybody knows him as Ohio State, and he's down at UC now. And I was when I first met him. So he was my wife's history teacher at Loveland, and I think it was Loveland. And so everybody's probably walking up to him going, "You were coach this," and I said, "Hey, you were my wife's history teacher." And he goes, "No shit." He goes, "Well, I hope I did a good job." I said, "Well, you did because she's 10 times smarter than I am, so you must have done something." But
that's so good.
What's your favorite vacation spot?
So this is a tough one. I mean, I know what it is, but right now we're not going to be able to get back for a while. Sanibel Island, in Florida, which just got devastated by the Hurricane Ian last year. Right. So I mean, we just love it. I thought I'd seen everything in Florida. I went to Sanibel and it's different, you know? And, so we didn't make it back this year. We were there basically last August, right before that hurricane. And, we hope to get back here in the near future, but that's our favorite.
Okay. All right. Who's your favorite band?
Pearl Jam. Nice. An easy one. Seen them 3 or 4 times in concert, different cities. They're great.
Don't they do a big, concert over in, it's over in Europe somewhere, don't they?
They do European tours all the time, yeah. We actually went and saw them in Chicago at the Cubs Stadium a few years ago.
Nice.
Now, the only thing was I was sitting behind home plate, and they were in the outfield, so it wasn't really the best seats, but they still sound great. So.
What's your favorite West Side restaurant?
West Side. Priceville Chili's is always up there, which go get the Geta and cheese omelet if you're there for breakfast.
That's right.
It's the best.
That's right. That's right. I didn't know if you were going to say Maury's Tiny Cove.
Yeah. Is that still there?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he shut it down about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's going back. Is Maury's still? Maybe.
It might still be there. Maybe I was thinking about the other one that's over there. I can't remember what it was, but
the Ron's Roost.
Ron's Roost is still there.
Ron's Roost is still there.
Yeah. I coached a game across the street from there, and still got the old El Camino sitting out in front of there.
Oh yeah.
Man, because Susy's giving me the answers on these, and you're hitting them all
she knows
right
me
there.
Pretty well. I'm pretty predictable.
Because this is my favorite movie of all time. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Well, I love Caddyshack. I've got about 5. Smokey and the Bandit, Caddyshack. That's right. Probably my 2 favorite.
That's what she said, Smokey and the Bandit. And I'm like, Smokey and the Bandit's like one of my all-time favorite.
You get me and my boating friends together. Yeah. You know, the guys I was with Friday night, they, it's just constant. That and Caddyshack. So.
Yeah. I saw a clip the other day on, it was one of those roasts, with all those guys, and Jackie Gleason came out in his police uniform. And
I've seen that recently. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Man,
that is hilarious.
So good.
He was one of the all-time greatest ever. Yeah.
Best in that
movie. Burt Reynolds, man, I don't know what these people think about in their later years trying to get all that plastic surgery done and all that stuff. He looks like an idiot.
I know.
What's your favorite thing about being a grandpa?
I didn't have kids. We have 2 kids. These are my stepkids, and they are fantastic. So I'm really kind of getting the experience, like the younger kids, and just the pure love, from these kids. It's just been amazing.
Yeah.
I have just, I was always afraid to be called the G word, grandpa, but I don't even give a crap anymore. It's
That's
just,
great.
it's so great. It's so fulfilling. And, we spent a lot of time with them. They were over, this past weekend in the pool. And, and that's really been nice. One thing about this house too, we built it around family too.
Yeah.
And having that backyard space where the kids can come and play and hang out. And so it was great. It's really been fulfilling.
Yeah. I got to meet them at Third Friday there a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah. Got to hang out with them and drinking beer with a baby. It's awesome, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's amazing to me that kids have this ability to expand your heart. I mean, it's just, you think that you love something, you think you know something in all your life, and then you have a kid, and it's just the true meaning of, or a grandkid, you have a true meaning of unconditional love, and it overwhelms you.
That's the right word for it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, really cool. So
we're going to have our second grandson's first birthday party here in a couple weeks at the house.
Nice.
Theme's Rookie of the Year.
That'll be good.
It'd be fun.
That's good. So. Well, thank you again. I mean, like I said, it's just it's an honor to be able to me. It's an honor to be able to have you come in here and sit here and have a great conversation with you, and to build this friendship with you guys and continue it on. And man, I'm really grateful. So I'm grateful for you guys coming here and supporting this company, building your house with us, and then still coming in here today and be able to do this podcast. So. It's been awesome,
Jeff. No, we are big fans of you and your organization, and love our house, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, everybody, this is Jeff Wieland signing off on the WB Download. I want to remind you that if you have any questions or want to be a part of our podcast, you can email them to wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com. That's wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com. And if you want to check out anything more on Wieland Builders, you can go to our website at wielandbuilders.com. So this has been an awesome interview. It's been a great day to have Mark Evans here. Him and his wife Susy built a house with us over the last year. Just moved in a couple weeks ago, and man, this is the first time we've done this. So like I said, I'm really proud of it, really happy with it, and couldn't be more excited. I hope you all enjoy it, and hope to get some feedback from you. Don't forget that we come out on the second and fourth Tuesdays of every month, and we'll keep it rolling. So I hope everybody has a great couple of weeks, and we will catch you next time here on the WB Download.